YouTube because I don't have any more space on my phone. Or at least I don't want to take up all the space on my phone. So I usually read from the Bible and then also from the redheaded hostess commentary. So here's the synopsis for this chapter. It says the king receives Esther. She invites him and Haman to a banquet. Haman plans to have Mordecai hanged. So this is some good news. um, or sorry, Haman plans to have Mordecai hanged. This is bad news, but we'll see that soon. We're gonna have good news. I'm like, wait, getting the two guys confused. Okay, so now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel. So she must look spectacular when she does this, you know. I was gonna pull up this. Okay, and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be given thee to, it shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther hath said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. Okay, so she has like this plan. And so imagine how her heart must have been feeling, though, when she had approached the king's inner court without being summoned. Every footstep would have taken faith, and plenty of doubts could have crept in. At this moment, did she think of what had happened to Queen Vashti? Remember? Did she wonder if she could turn back and wait to be summoned? What this moment must have felt like for her. But the Jews had been praying and fasting for her, and she was fasting herself. What strength that must have provided for her, right? So when the king saw her, he held out to Esther the golden scepter, which is like the thing you want to have happen so you don't get killed. Signaling to all in the court that they were not to kill her. Imagine what the guards must have been thinking when they saw Esther here. How grateful they too must have been to see the royal scepter extended, right? Because they don't want to kill her. So Esther touched the scepter, and the king's heart was turned to her. Remember, the king, after he did away with Queen Vashti, although he did not kill her, okay, at least it doesn't say that, that he was sad at what had happened between their relationship and the way that he had treated her. And so he is trying to be like a better king already. Like you already can tell he's trying to be a better king. And so I think that's awesome. So then he's basically said, I'll give you like half the kingdom, right? So what a relief and joy Esther must have felt to have that situation be like that. The king was excited to see her instead of the complete opposite, right? So verse 6, and the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom, it shall be performed. Okay, so something else to remember is that the last time Queen Esther came to the king was to tell the king that some of his servants were like that some of his servants were plotting to kill the king, right? So she already has that kind of playing towards her, like, look, and she probably has never approached the king since the wedding day because of all this. So I don't know how much time has passed since the wedding day versus now. And so I wonder if like because she wasn't like the type of person that would like just come and request things from the king all the time, that he was like, oh, she wants to come talk to me, like this is cool, right? So maybe it was just like one of those things. I don't know. So I'm just guessing. Scriptural speculation is going on right there. So anyway, so then he says, What is thy petition? The verse 7, then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king hath said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai, the king, in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did not let man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself and tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends unto him, let the gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. So Haman is getting the gallows that hang people ready, so that he can kill Mordecai and all the Jews, which is really sad that he's doing this, but this is what's going on. So it was because Haman's heart was full of pride, because he felt joyful and honored that the queen would invite only the king and himself to such a royal moment. And so he rushed home to tell his wife and friends of the heights and glory he had risen to. So, but Mordecai was still refusing to bow to him, and he could not take it. So his wife and friends suggested that he make a humiliating and public death for Mordecai. Imagine the kinds of friends Haman had. Some bad friends. So anyway, so he's getting the gallows built. Okay. So then we have verse 11. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him. Oh, did I already read this? Yes, I did. Sorry. We're on verse. Oh, so this is all that is in chapter 5. Okay. So we are excited to hear what is about to happen, because he's building that gallows right now. And it's about 75 feet high. So yeah, that's going to be crazy, which ultimately is like going to be a disastrous choice, right? So what do you think she had? Why do you think she had 2 banquets planned? And what can we learn from Haman's arrogance and pride? Because it is not cool to do that. Good morning. Thanks for taking Frodo out. Okay. All right. So now we are going to see what happens in chapter 6. So until